Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So today our discussion point is how to set up this multi-org structure. Okay. For doing the multi-org structure, we will do a few understanding first. Okay. We have the uh, business group. Okay. Business group is two uh, business group is the top level of your org structure in your system. This is based on the country, and this is related to your human resource module, majorly human resource module. Okay, so business group, let's say we are going to start with the one business group. Okay, so let's say for our example, it's IT corporation. Okay, let's say we have this corporation spread across US and India. Okay, so we have to create two business groups: IT corporation as US and IT corporation India. Okay, why? Because we have two different jurisdictions coming into the picture, the US and India. Then we have ledger. Basically, business group, legal entity, then ledger, uh, then we have the legal entity. Legal entity is your real life, means in reality, what is your legal entity name? Let's say IT Inc. Okay, and IT Private Limited. Okay, this is the legal entity. Then ledger. Okay, we have two jurisdictions coming into the picture, and that's the reason we have to get two different ledgers. One is the IT ledger US, IT ledger India. Okay, ledger. Then we have operating unit. Okay, operating unit can be used to segregate the operations of these both units. First of all, the second, even if you have multiple locations here in IT corporations, you have multiple locations and you want to segregate the operations of these locations. Let's say we have here in operating unit level, we will have uh, IT California operating unit, IT New York operating unit. Okay. Likewise, we can have multiple operating units, and likewise we can have just one operating unit for entire US. That depends on the what strategy, what kind of security the company wants to implement in their system. Likewise, we can have IT Chennai. Okay, why I am putting OU in the bracket to identify it is an operating unit, just to have an understanding, and there is some naming conventions you need to follow. Okay, what is this naming convention? Naming conventions will be decided by the company, like how they want their all the naming structures to be. So I am following some the rules here as a standard. Okay, IT Bangalore operating unit. Okay, operating unit we had. Then inventory org. Okay, in the inventory org, as let's say ours is the service company. Okay, in case of service company, I am just putting here one operating unit, IT inventory org, IO. Okay, I can use the same inventory org for India as well, but I am segregating it at a country level. So this is happened to be our setup. Okay. So how these organizations can be represented in our Oracle system? There are ways to do it. Before that, I will explain you the one thing over the profile options. Under system administration, I have something called as profile. System and personal. System is already defined by the company, the product Oracle. It is already available. Personal, you can define your own profile options and assign it. Let's go to the system. Okay. And okay, we have different levels. Application, sorry, site, application, responsibility, server, organization, user. Okay, if you have defined something at site level and nothing on any other level, sorry, nothing on any other level, means that site level will be applicable to any of the responsibility, any of the user, any of the application, etc. Okay, so mostly every organization do this profile option setups mostly on the responsibility level and sometimes on user level, but as a standard practice to differentiate few things over there. Okay, so you can see here profile options, site, application, responsibility, user. So what I define at the site level applicable to all. If it all these three will be the blank. Okay. If I define something at the application level, means that will override the site levels. I have site level something and I define something at the application level. Application level will be applicable. Okay. If I define something at responsibility level, it will bypass anything defined at the site and application level. And if I define something at user level, it will bypass all these three levels: site, application, responsibility level. And this profile option is kind of, it brings flexibility in working. Okay, it whatever defined at these 3-4 levels, you can very well bypass it by defining at a particular level. You can make it standardization. Suppose a user level profile option is required when you need to do some activities at the user level only, not at every time. So what you define at the site level will be applicable to the user. User wants something different, so he can do over here. So this we will see again more. So now we have prerequisites. Before we move into doing the setups, all these setups, we need responsibilities to be created. Okay. So when you're defining this organization structure, this business group only can be defined with the HRMS responsibility. Okay. HRMS means Human Resource Management System related responsibility. Legal entity can be defined with the general ledger responsibility. Ledger also can be defined, it can be defined from two responsibilities, responsibility and legal entity configurator. Okay. Then ledger, general ledger, responsibility. Operating unit can be defined from the HRMS or inventory, and same inventory org also HRMS and inventory. Okay. So we need to define first the three major responsibilities: HRMS responsibility, general ledger responsibility, and inventory responsibility. Okay. We define first these three responsibilities and then move forward. So to define the responsibilities, you need to have the system administrator access. Okay. This is already created some name convention system administration vision that very well can be used. Go to security, you responsibility, define. Okay. So I have already one Excel available. Not here. Okay. For defining a responsibility, you need these details like what group, what menu, what request group it need to be. So first we are going to define the general ledger responsibility. So we see here, okay, we define. Okay, what we are going to do is I am going to define everything related to India. Okay, because setups related to US will be different. Setup activity related to India will be different. So that's the reason we are going to define responsibilities. IT General ledger, India. Okay. Responsibility name IT General Ledger India, or maybe I can give GL Super Super User IT India. Okay, GL Super User IT India. Application General Ledger. Responsibility key GL Super User IT India. And then we define it, let's say 01 Jan 2000. Okay, we need to give some standard dates. Mostly for many of this responsibility setup, Oracle has standard effective date, but we are going to use with January 2000. You can very well use it with any dates. Then the name of the data group. Data group will be the standard, and application is general ledger. Menu GL super user, GL underscore super user. Okay, request group GL concurrent program, GL concurrent program group, and that's it. This is the responsibility we defined for the GL. The record is applied. If you see here, the record is applied and saved. Then we define the next responsibility. When in the next responsibility, either you can press the down arrow key, it will open the new form. And if you click on up arrow key, it will bring the already entered information. Or you can very well press this button over here, new. So if you press this new, it will open the same new entry form. Then we need the responsibility for uh, human resources. Okay, uh, human resources as well as inventory. Okay, let's define the inventory. Inventory super user IT India. Inventory okay, data group will be the standard inventory. Menu will be INV underscore navigate inventory menu. And all inclusive GUI. Save. So we have inventory super user also created. Now we have seen here HRMS responsibility for the business group. We can also use this responsibility. Okay, for business group also we can use the HRMS or inventory responsibility. Legal entity, ledger, operating unit, and inventory. But we still need the HRMS responsibility. Okay, so for HRMS, we need to see what is this responsibility. This one, HRMS manager, India responsibility. So we define the HRMS. HRMS super user IT India. Then it is human resources. Resource की HRMS super user IT India. Okay. Then we have the data group standard human resource. Then in the menu, India HRMS, and request group is IN HRMS reports and processes. Human resource. And once you saved all these three responsibilities, now our work will start. Okay. We need to assign this responsibility to our user ID. We have to search our user ID over here. So what we need to do here is press the F11 because we have to query our user. User ID is already done the setup. We have to query our user name here. T0908. If you know the name, complete the username and press Control F11. Then you go in over here. Okay. Press the new button. It will open a new row and you have to assign general ledger. Oh, sorry. What was the name? So if I do not remember name, IT India, if I write, it will bring me the list of responsibilities. Okay. So I defined three responsibilities: inventory, HRMS, and all. The GL super user I assigned. Likewise, percentage IT India, HRM is also assigned. Then next is the percentage IT India. Okay, why I am putting percentage before? Because I don't know the what value I have given before IT India. Okay, if it starts with the IT India, then you should not put percentage before. So inventory super user. Okay, I assigned responsibility to my user ID. All done. Next, we move to profile options. we have to do setup for profile option at the responsibility level. We have just now created 3 responsibility. Now we have to define these responsibilities, profile options for these responsibilities. There is, I put IT India, okay, GL super user level. What is my profile option? HR business group. Click on find. Okay, this is coming. So you see here site level something, some value is there. So it by default will be applicable to this GL super user as well if you do not define. But now I have to define here. Okay, set up business group, because we are going to do the new setup now. Then press this torch button to find again HR user type. Sorry, HR security profile. HR security profile also. We have no values over here. Okay. Set up business group. Save it. Okay, just a second. I don't know whether we saved the before one. HR business find. Okay, business group already done the setup. Okay, so this profile option is required to be done as a setup in all the responsibilities, because we don't have not defined anything till now. So IT IT India HRMS find setup. Then we go to HR security profile. Here also we do the setup business group. Then we go to our next responsibility, IT India inventory, HR security profile, setup business group, and HR business group also. Okay, we have already done this. So our all these 3 profile option setup. This is the prerequisite profile options. Okay, once the setup is done, we will come again and update all these responsibilities again. Okay. So now we move on to our responsibility. We already assigned responsibility. We can very well use the HRMS super user India or inventory super user IT India. Okay, both of this responsibility can be used to define our organization structure. So let's say I am using inventory super user. I go inside the inventory super user. So we have lots of responsibility menu functions available here. Okay. Setup. Okay, with the super user, you will have always the setup responsibility access. But most of the organization, what they do not give setup access in super user level, and setup responsibility will be defined as a separately. So setup organizations. Our first thing, we have to define location. Location is means your legal address or something you have to define first. Okay. Let's say IT India, Chennai. Okay. We give here India International. Okay. So it will not be a problem. Then you define the address here. Address, let's say Ambit IT Park. Rest all I keep it. Okay. Okay. Time zone also can be defined. Calcutta 5:30. Okay. Shift to location IT India Chennai. All these in options to be enabled. We will use these options when we do go for the accounts payable, accounts receivable setups. Other details we have not defined till now inventory organization. So we keeping it like this only. Now we save this information. So one record applied and saved. Let's see what is there. Okay, these are some localizations got enabled, and that's the reason we can see here some values to be entered. Okay, so our address is saved IT India Chennai location. Okay, our company is incorporated in Chennai, and this is the legal address. Now we go to business group setup. Business group in the same responsibility. We are in the inventory super user. We are under the setup menu. Under the setup, we have organization as sub menu. Under organization, we have organizations as a function. Organization. This form will open, and you have to click on new. New, you have to give the name. IT India business group. As I said, told you there is some uh, naming convention to be followed. As per our example over here, IT Corporation India. Sorry. Some naming convention to be followed. IT Corporation India. Type as business group. Then start from, let's say, 2000. Okay. Location. The location we defined before just now. IT India Chennai, if you give it, come over here. Okay, this is not required. And you have to save this information, and uh, you have to save this information. This information is now saved. Now you have to come over here, organization classification, and you have to mention this is my business group. Click on enable, click on others. Oh, save it. Saved. So it is grayed out. You cannot change it now. And you have to click on others. Others will open the multiple things. These many of these details will be required when you are exactly using HRMS module of this Oracle Business Suite. Otherwise, you can very well just define the business group information. As last time I told you, business group is the optional setup, but suppose in future you want to use the human resource module of the Oracle, you must define before the business group. So it is always a best practice to define the business group when you starting a new implementation, so tomorrow it will not be a problem. In the business group we will define some of the informations over here. Okay, short name IT or employee number generation manual, applicant number generation manual. We can do it automatic also, but right now I am just giving manual. Group grade flex field, grade flex field. Okay, group flex field. People group flex field. Job flex field. Job flex field. Posting flex field. Post allocation flex field. Position flex field. Position flex field. Competency. Intense flexibility. Legislation code. Here in the legislation code, you have to put India, currency INR, and that's all. These are uh, just uh, just for information, but we are not putting it, and it is not a mandatory. Save it. Control S. Click OK. Click OK. Yes. So this information is saved. So now you have just defined the business group. Okay. Location we defined. Business group we defined. The next task is to have legal entity, then ledger, then operating unit. So before we move, uh, we need to change the profile option for the business groups. Next, we go to system administration again, profile system. At the application level, IT India, general ledger level, HR, business group, click on find. Here we select IT, IT Corporation India. Okay. Next we go to another responsibility. IT India, HRMS, find IT Corporation. And then we get to go to our last responsibility, inventory. Okay. What is the purpose of this HR business group? HR business group is used for your this responsibility level access to the business group, as well as your if you are using a human resource module for any reason, that will only come with this profile option assigned only. Okay, in accounts payable module, when we will be using the workflow, that is means if you have entered any supplier invoice and that need to be approval, it need to go through approval engine, then we define few employees there, 2 3 employees, and we'll see how the approval workflow work and why we need this HR business group profile and employee setup. Okay, so this employees, this business group profile option, the setup is done. Now we next move on to defining the legal entity. For defining legal entity, you can very well use the responsibility general ledger, or you can use directly, there is a responsibility called legal entity configurator. So we use the legal entity configurator. We go to user, define, because we have to assign the legal entity configurator responsibility to our user ID. Total 968, and we come here, legal entity configurator. This we have to use, or we can very well use the GL responsibility. I will show you the applications from the both the sides. Legal entity configurator. When you press this, it will open a HTML page. This is the page. Here you can define the legal entities. You have a dashboard as well as you have legal entities, search page, and even if you can click here to create your legal entities. And under the setup, we have address, jurisdiction, legal authorities. So by default, there is jurisdictions has been set up. Addresses is the same function what you have done in the location form. Even you can come over here and define the locations over here, and that will be available on the another side. So there are two ways to define the locations, and this is for the, let's say, India. What is available for India as a address? So many addresses coming. Okay, then we go to jurisdiction. Jurisdiction we see, let's say, territory. Do we have a lot of things are income tax, and click on go. Okay, so we have this as already available, but you can define for the other legislative categories. But mostly all companies, while defining, they follow the India income tax as a jurisdiction. Okay, so let's go and we do the setup of legal entity. We can do over here directly the legal entity. As I told you, I will show you the another form. We go to the general ledger responsibility, GL super user IT India. We have set up financials, accounting setup manager, accounting setups. When we click accounting setup, it is opening the another HTML page, and we have accounting setup, legal entities setup. When you click on legal entities, you can very well create the legal entities over here. Okay, so there are two ways to create the legal entities. So I click over here and I create the legal entity. History India, legal entity name IT Private Limited. Okay, organization name also IT Private Limited. Legal entity identifier. Okay, legal entity identifier, each country level, there is some identifier is being assigned by the national these banks. Okay, in India it is assigned by the Reserve Bank of India. You can very well use that as a legal entity identifier, or you can give here by your own some names. PAN number, something like this. Then you have to select from existing legal address. So IT India we already created. It is saying full address. Uh, we have given address IT India as MP Park. You can go. Yes, IT India Chennai MP IT Park. Select. So we selected the address which we already created. Place of registration we can say Chennai. Inception date or business activity, sub business, share capital, currencies, all you can define. Okay. Save and add details. You successfully created the new legal entity IT Private Limited. Okay. So now these basic details are showing here. You can go to under registration. Under registration, if you see, it is already showing India income tax PAN number as we have given, that is showing over here. Even we can do the commercial registration addition over here. Then establishments. As I told you before, establishment is your place of operation. Okay. Now, if you have 2, 3 offices in Chennai, you can very well define establishments here, and then uh, assign the main establishment, and then use other establishment at the time of transaction. Then you can very well provide the contact information and error as occurred. Okay, legal entities, country India, IT private limited. Okay, it is going to bring. When I search for IT private limited, it is bringing me to different types of legal context, legal entity and establishment. So this way we created our legal entity. Now our next task is to proceed with the ledger setup, operating unit, inventory organization. So for ledger setup, in the ledger, there are 4 things which need to be considered. Ledger. Okay. Ledger, what all here we come? Chart of accounts. Okay. Calendar, currency, and the last one is the accounting convention. Okay. So we have C, starting with C, chart of account, C for calendar, C for currency, accounting convention. Here also we see. So these are called as four C's, four C's of ledger. Okay, if and we have two types of ledger in Oracle. One is the primary ledger. Okay, this is the main representation. Main representation of your organization's accounting activities. Okay, and we have secondary ledger. By secondary ledger is this secondary representation of your organization's accounting activities. Okay. So why secondary ledger is there? Oh, I can just move forward with the primary ledger. Why is the secondary ledger? Okay. If I need to report differently in these four C's, then I need a secondary ledger. Okay. For let's say I have a chart of account, which is a standardized chart of account of my company. Okay, so there is no because I don't want to uh, uh, increase activities around multiple countries, multiple chart of accounts, and mapping of this chart of account to my global chart of account. Okay, so what I am doing is I am using a standard chart of account. The same chart of account will be used. The same accounting fields will be used for India. Same will be used for America. Same will be used for UK, France, etc., etc. Okay, I will not be differentiating between my chart of account structure. But when it comes to report legally in these countries, let's say I am in France, okay, France has a legal requirement to report all your ledger balances in the legal chart of account. In that case, I need a secondary ledger. Okay, because I am using the primary ledger. Even for France, I am using the primary ledger with the chart of account, a standard one, which is global throughout the world for my company. I am not working as per the government. My company has a global chart of account, and that is work. That is for making many things standardized. Okay, there is no compromise because standardization brings a lot of functions enhancement and lot of granularity on the data. So all these things are there. So when any of these four things, chart of account, calendar, currency, and accounting conversion, any of these four C's is changing, we need a secondary ledger representation. Suppose now, let's say I have to report all my activities in US dollar, to my parent company in US. Okay, so I have INR as a currency. Okay, for currency, you no need a secondary ledger. There is an option. Okay, you also have a reporting currency. Okay, if you assign reporting currency to your primary ledger, my primary ledger currency is INR. but I want a reporting currency for my this INR ledger, that is US dollar. That is very well possible without going through the secondary ledger option. Okay, that is the only difference. So why we use secondary ledger, I explained you. If any of these four C's are getting different, chart of account, we will go through it. Calendar, a currency, you by the name understand what is the calendar or what is currency. Accounting convention is your the way you want to manage your accounting. Okay, uh, it is more or less related to how your accounting will be performed through subledgers. Subledger means accounts payable module, accounts receivable module, fixed assets ledger, all these cash management as well, how they will process the accounting information. Okay, so we will go through it this in the our very last session in the understanding what is the subledger accounting method, SLA, subledger accounting, SLA method. So that will be very our last session over the accounting convention, and that will be very brief one. And we will start with the ledger setup tomorrow. And tomorrow I will be keeping a 2 hour class. That will be fine for you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is all around the ledger setup. So tomorrow we will continue with the starting with the ledger setup. Till now, we have covered just a business group and legal entity and updated few profile options and etc. So tomorrow we will start with our ledger setup, and tomorrow we complete all the activities related to this operating unit, this structure definition, and we will see if all the structures working accordingly, like how we want it. Just a basic introduction of if we completed all this setup, is it working properly in the system? Just a testing. I will show you how to do that. Then we move forward on Sunday with the accounts payable module. Tomorrow we are completing the basic setup and just one testing to understand if it is working correctly or not. Then we will move forward with the our accounts payable module, and then fixed assets, then accounts receivable and cash management. Along with accounts payable and accounts receivable, we will go through the EB tax setups, and then we move forward to SLA, and then we move forward to with the GL. GL is the dump of the everything. Okay, so the last session will be around the GL, general ledger module, where we will be covering how to post and journals and how to rectify journals, how to reverse the journals, and the consolidation feature, and budgeting as well as allocation, mass allocation, etc. etc. So that will be on the last session of general ledger module. So we see you again tomorrow. I've the timing will be the same, 7 o'clock, 7 to 9. So it will be easy for me to complete the things early in the morning. So, anything you have not understood till now? Do you want something to be explained again? Just let me know.
So the navigations are not clear, sir, for creating it.
Navigation for what?
I mean, the navigation, I'm not clear with that.
Okay, you are not clear with the navigation.
Yes.
Okay. You already started using this system, or you facing some issue with the setups?
Still not started, sir.
Still not started because you need to start early to have a hands-on on this things. Uh, okay, you have the issue with the navigation.
Yeah, yes.
What exactly you are not understanding in the navigation, because we are moving through responsibilities, then menus, then sub menus, then function, but you not understanding, you are not able to remember which where we need to go, right?
Yeah, yes, yes, sir.
Okay, I will sort it out tomorrow for you, this one.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So then,
So
if we after setting up the system, so first we should create the user, right? After then only we should create the business group, or should we start with the responsibility?
no, the user is already created, okay, and you cannot create on this server the new users because it is restricted. But you can start very well with the creation of the responsibility, doing setup of profile option, preliminary profile option, then do the setup of business group, legal entity, location, business group, legal entity. These are the three steps: location, business group, legal entity. Okay, then you can update the profile option which you created preliminary setup. So you will go through this video to which I will share it on the WhatsApp group, as well as tomorrow I will make it clear how to do the navigations in the Oracle system.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay. So we see you tomorrow, everyone.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you, Lavanya.
Bye, sir.
Bye.